This is Recipe for Sleep, a podcast where we dust off very old cookbooks and let them lull us into dreamland. This week, we continue with Quick Cooking, a Book of Culinary Heresies, written by one of the heretics. This is a very straightforward guide from the wonderful Flora Haynes Blockheed. We began this series a few episodes ago in episode 31. You might want to go back and listen to that if you haven't heard it, just to learn about wonderful Flora, also known as the Opal Queen. For tonight, we'll read from the middle of the alphabetized recipes, starting with the L's for lobster, cruising through to the O's for oysters, and P's for potatoes, and eventually making our way to the beginning of R's with a raspberry cream to finish us off. Each of these simple recipes read like little poems, and I'm going to read each one to you softly and sweetly as you drift off to sleep. Now it's time to put away anything you were doing and snuggle deep into your sweet covers. Softly close your eyes and imagine the kitchen of your mind. There are two cupboards there. Yesterday's cupboard, for all the things that have already happened that your mind wants to chew on. And tomorrow's cupboard, for all the things you're going to do or what's going to happen later. It's time to put everything away in those cupboards. Imagine closing each one. You made it to this cozy, quiet time of day, where there's nothing to do but listen to me read you old recipes until you drift off to sleep. Now let's begin. 154. Lobster bisque. 1 cupful lobster meat, 2 cupfuls boiling water, butter the size of a walnut, 1 heaping tablespoonful flour, 2 cupfuls milk, 1 level teaspoonful salt, pepper to taste. Set the milk on the stove to heat. Boil half of the lobster 5 minutes in the water. While it is boiling, melt the butter in a stew pan and rub the flour into it. Then pour in the milk and the water, carefully pressing out and discarding the boiled lobster. Bring to a boil. Drop in the remainder of the lobster meat and remove from the stove. Like many other dishes, this is lengthy in description, but quick in execution to those who have their materials always at hand. 155. Lobster broiled. Get the lobster meat in as large pieces as possible. Brush over with melted butter. Season with pepper and salt, and sprinkle a little dust over. Broil in a wire broiler over a nice bed of coals. Serve plain or with tartar sauce. 156. Lobster chowder. To any given quantity of lobster, chopped fine, take 1 cup of milk and a pounded soda cracker for every pound of the meat. A small piece of butter, pepper, and salt. Bring the liquid to a boil and put in the lobster, which should only be scalded a couple of minutes. 157. Lobster croquettes. Shred the meat. Moisten lightly with salad oil. Add 1/3 the quantity of breadcrumbs, grated rind, and juice of a lemon, a little grated nutmeg, and pepper and salt. Form into balls and fry to light brown in boiling lard. 158. Lobster salad. To save time and trouble, use canned lobster when it can be procured in nice condition. Arrange in alternate layers with lettuce, cut fine, interspersing with the mashed yolks and chopped whites of cold boiled eggs. Pour over the whole a mayonnaise dressing, recipe number 164. A very pretty table decoration may easily be made of this dish by arranging upon a platter or in a large salad bowl, with a fringe of dark green lettuce or celery leaves about the border, the brighter red portions of the lobster thrown into relief against these, the inner circle being composed of chopped lettuce, upon which are grouped the golden yolks of hard-boiled eggs, dusky green olives, and, if procurable, lobster claws and horns. 159. Lobster soup. Into 1 quart of milk and 1 pint of water, drop the finely chopped meat of a large lobster. Season with butter, salt, and red pepper, and thicken with a tablespoonful of flour. Boil 10 minutes. 160. Baked macaroni. Put boiled macaroni in a buttered baking dish. Cover with breadcrumbs, wet the top with a little melted butter, and brown 5 minutes in a moderate oven. 161. Macaroni rissoles. Form cold macaroni and cheese into little balls. Dip in a beaten egg, roll in crumbs, and fry to a nice brown in hot lard. 162. Salt mackerel, boiled. Divide into sections, each about the allowance for 1 person. If the fish is very salt, it will be necessary to put it to soak several hours before cooking. 163. Salt mackerel, broiled. Split the fish lengthwise, lay into cold water, and bring to a boil. Drain off the water. Place the pieces in a wire broiler and brown over hot coals. Brush over with a little butter and send to the table. 164. Mayonnaise dressing. 1/4 of a teaspoonful of ground mustard with just sufficient water to dissolve it. The yolk of 2 eggs well beaten. With the left hand, pour into this drop by drop the purest olive oil, furiously stirring the mixture with the right hand all the time, until it becomes so stiff the dish can be inverted without spilling. Then stir in a sparing tablespoonful of vinegar and pepper and salt to taste. Everyone who attempts to make a mayonnaise dressing, which, by the way, is rated as one of the highest accomplishments of many epicures, should keep in mind the old Spanish proverb, which declares that for the proper concoction of mayonnaise, 4 persons are needed: a spendthrift for the oil, a miser for the vinegar, a counselor for the salt, and a madman to stir it. 165. Minute pudding. 5 heaping tablespoonfuls flour, 3 beaten eggs, 1/2 cupful milk, 1 teaspoonful salt. Beat all together and stir into 1 pint of boiling milk, removing from the stove as soon as it thickens. Serve with transparent sauce, recipe number 290, or with sweetened milk. 166. Mushrooms broiled. Arrange the mushrooms, the hollow side up, in a wire broiler. Sift a little salt and pepper and a light shower of flour over them. Lay a tiny piece of butter in each one. Brown the underside by holding the broiler without inverting it over a bed of glowing coals. 167. Mushrooms, fried. Soak a few minutes in salt and water. Then fry slowly in butter, seasoned with salt and pepper. Lay them upon a dish with the hollow side up and pour over them a gravy formed of the butter and the juice of the mushrooms. 168. Mushroom loaf. Boil mushrooms in a little water and butter for 5 minutes. Then arrange in a deep, buttered baking dish alternate layers of mushrooms and breadcrumbs, seasoning each with pepper and salt, and pouring over the whole the liquor in which the mushrooms have been cooked. Bake 8 minutes in a quick oven. 169. Mushrooms stuffed. Wash and remove the stalks from 6 large mushrooms. Simmer a minced onion in 2 tablespoonfuls of butter for 5 minutes. Add a half a cupful of water, 1 cupful of breadcrumbs, the mushroom stalks minced fine, pepper and salt. Simmer together 3 or 4 minutes. Then dip gently into the hollow of the mushrooms, sprinkling some dry crumbs over the top, and brown in a hot oven about 5 minutes. 170. Mushrooms on toast. Peel and heat carefully in hot butter. Season with pepper and salt, and serve on buttered toast. 171. Muskmelon salad. Cut into thin slices, sprinkle with pepper and salt, and stir gently in a small quantity of vinegar and sweet oil beaten together. 172. Made mustard. Dissolve 3 tablespoonfuls of mustard in boiling water. Add 1 tablespoonful of olive oil, stirred in drop by drop. 1/2 teaspoonful of salt, 1 teaspoonful of sugar, and 2 teaspoonfuls of vinegar. 173. Mutton chops, fried. Melt a couple of ounces of butter in a hot frying pan. Season the chops with pepper and salt, and fry to a nice brown on both sides. 174. Noodles, for soup or stewed chickens. 1 heaping cupful flour, 1 egg, 1/2 teaspoonful salt. Mix with the least possible quantity of milk, keeping the dough as stiff as it is possible to handle it and roll it out. Divide to 4 lumps and roll very thin, and cut into long strips by folding the thin sheet over several times and cutting through it with a sharp knife. The narrow slice thus obtained will separate into long ribbons when shaken up together. Throw them into the boiling liquor, cover closely, and boil briskly for 5 minutes. 175. Fried noodles. Prepare the dough after the foregoing recipe. Cut 1/2 into strips, 1/2 an inch broad, and boil for 5 minutes in salted water. Then drain carefully and lay on a dish. Cut the remainder into narrow strings and fry in butter to a deep golden brown. Strew these over the boiled ones, which will be pale corn color, and we have a pretty as well as appetizing dish. 176. Oatmeal griddle cakes. 2 cupfuls oatmeal mush, 1/2 cupful flour, 1 teaspoonful sugar, 1 teaspoonful baking powder, milk or water enough to make thin batter. Fry on a hot griddle. 177. Oatmeal mush, fried plain. Take cold oatmeal mush and form into cakes 1/2 an inch thick Dredge with flour and fry crisp on either side. 178. Oatmeal mush, fried in batter. Cut cold oatmeal mush into slices about 1/3 of an inch thick. Dip into a beaten egg, roll in breadcrumbs or cracker dust, and fry to a golden brown in hot lard. 179. Omelette. 4 eggs slightly beaten. 4 tablespoonfuls milk. Pepper and salt. Beat up quickly together and pour into a hot buttered frying pan. Loosen the edges with a thin knife as it begins to thicken, but do not stir it. And while the top is yet wet, fold it up. 180. Baked omelette. 4 eggs beaten separately. 4 tablespoonfuls sifted flour. 1 tablespoonful melted butter. 4 tablespoonfuls milk. 1 teaspoonful sugar. 1 scant teaspoonful salt. Beat into a stiff batter, adding the whites of eggs at the last moment. Pour into a buttered baking dish and bake 20 minutes in a hot oven, covering it over the first 15 minutes. 181. Bread omelette. 4 eggs, yolks and whites beaten separately. 1 cupful breadcrumbs soaked in milk. Salt and pepper to taste. Drain off any superfluous milk from the breadcrumbs. Stir in the beaten egg yolks. Add salt and pepper and the whites of eggs beaten stiff. Fry in a buttered pan, setting in the oven for 1 minute to finish. 182. Cheese omelette. Make the omelette after directions in number 179, stirring into the mixture half a cupful of grated cheese. 183. Cracker omelette. 2 cupfuls rolled soda crackers. 1 cupful milk. 2 eggs well beaten. Half teaspoonful salt. Stir together and fry slowly 10 minutes in a buttered frying pan, covered closely. 184. Omelette custards. 6 eggs. 1 cupful cream. Pepper and salt. Beat well together. Pour into buttered cups. Set these in a shallow pan of boiling water and cook 10 minutes in a hot oven. 185. French omelette. Half cupful boiling milk with 1 tablespoonful of butter dissolved in it, poured over half cupful breadcrumbs. Cool a little and add 3 eggs, yolks and whites beaten separately. Fry in a buttered pan. 186. Fruit omelette. Make a plain omelette after 179, and just before taking up, place some fresh, sugared berries on top, or stewed dried fruit, and roll up with it. 187. Ham omelette. Make an ordinary egg omelette, number 179, and when it begins to set at the bottom, strew cold boiled ham, minced fine, over the top, and fold up with it. 188. Jellied omelette. 4 eggs, 4 tablespoonfuls milk, powdered sugar and jelly. Beat the eggs lightly, add the milk, and beat lightly again. Then fry in a buttered pan, moderately heated and tightly covered. When the egg begins to set on top, loosen at the opposite edges with a thin knife. Roll toward the center. Lift carefully out. Dredge with powdered sugar and cross with slices of jelly. If there are any stewed mushrooms left over, we have the following savory 5-minute breakfast dish. 189. Mushroom omelet. Make an ordinary egg omelet, number 179, and when it begins to set at the bottom, strew the top with stewed mushrooms, cut fine, and roll them up in it. 190. Onion omelet. Mince an onion and boil 5 minutes. While it is boiling, beat up an ordinary omelet, number 179. Pour it into a buttered frying pan, and when the bottom is set, strew the minced onion well drained over the top and roll up with it. 191. Oyster omelet. 1 dozen raw Eastern oysters. 3 eggs. 3 tablespoonfuls milk. Pepper and salt. Beat the eggs and milk together. Season and pour into a buttered frying pan. As soon as it begins to set, embed the oysters at the top, and while the omelet still looks a little wet on top, turn over 1/2 upon itself, concealing the oysters from sight, and serve piping hot. 192. Parsley omelet. Make an omelet after directions in number 179, and adding a heaping tablespoonful of minced parsley. 193. Potato omelet. Make a plain omelet after recipe number 179, and just before rolling it up, lay several spoonfuls of mashed potato nicely seasoned on top. 194. Rice omelet. 1 cupful cold boiled rice. 3 beaten eggs. 1/2 cupful sweet milk. Salt and pepper. Stir together and fry in a hot buttered frying pan, stirring until it is done. 195. Smoked beef omelet. Chop fine 1/2 cupful of smoked beef. Simmer in water 5 minutes. Make ready an omelet after number 179. And while the top is still wet, lay upon it the chipped beef, carefully drained, and roll up with it. 196. Sorrel omelet. Wash a bowl full of sorrel. Wring it in a cloth, chop fine, and simmer 5 minutes in a frying pan with butter the size of an egg. Make an omelet after 179, and when the top is still wet, lay the sorrel upon it and fold it up. 197. Sweet omelet. 6 beaten eggs. 6 tablespoonfuls cream or milk. 1 tablespoonful sugar. Beat together, fry in a buttered pan, and dredge with powdered sugar on taking up. 98. Tomato omelet. Make an ordinary egg omelet, number 179, and when it is half cooked, put 2 or 3 spoonfuls of stewed tomatoes over it, and fold up with it. 199. Onions fried in lard. Peel large or medium-sized onions. Cut them into thin, transverse slices. Roll them in flour and fry in hot lard to a nice brown. 200. Orange float. 6 slices oranges. 1 pint boiling water. 1 lemon, juice and grated rind. 1 small cupful sugar. 2 heaping tablespoonfuls cornstarch, 2 whites of eggs. Arrange the sliced orange in the bottom of the dish and pour over them a light custard made by stirring the lemon, sugar, and cornstarch into the boiling water until the mixture thickens. Spread the whole with the whites of eggs, beaten stiff with a little powdered sugar. Serve with milk or cream. 201. Glazed oranges. Peel and slice them, removing the seeds. Dip each slice into plain icing, made by stirring 2 whites of eggs and 1 cupful powdered sugar together with a spoon, and dry on pointed stick, stuck upright in a bowl of sugar. 202. Orange honey. 2 large oranges, 1 cupful sugar, 1 cupful butter, 8 eggs well beaten. Put the juice and grated rind of the oranges into a saucepan. Add the sugar and butter. Heat it over the fire until it commences to simmer. Then add the eggs and stir briskly until it begins to thicken. Remove it from the fire and whisk it a few moments with an egg beater. Nice for layer cakes or for filling tarts. Orange jelly layer cake. For layer cake, see recipe number 145. 2 whites of eggs beaten stiff, 1 cupful powdered sugar, 6 tablespoonfuls orange juice. 204. Orange pudding. Peel and slice 6 large oranges and strew over them a cupful of sugar. Pour over these a stiff custard made of 1 pint boiling milk, thickened with the yolks of 3 eggs well beaten, 1 tablespoonful cornstarch dissolved in warm milk, and 3 tablespoonfuls sugar. Cover with the whites beaten to a froth, with 3 tablespoonfuls powdered sugar, and brown in the oven 3 minutes. 205. Orange and sponge cake pudding. Over a layer of stale cake, sponge cake preferred, strew sliced oranges. Pour over the whole a custard made of 1 pint boiling milk, thickened with 3 yolks of eggs and ½ cup of sugar. Cover the top with a meringue made of the whites and a little sugar, and brown in a hot oven for 3 minutes. 206. Oxford pudding. 1 cupful pounded crackers, ½ cupful dried currants, 1/4 pound tried suet, 1 tablespoonful sugar. Mince together with the mashed yolks of 4 hard-boiled eggs. Make into small balls and fry in a hot pan with a little butter. Serve with roast or stewed meats. 207. Oyster bisque. 1 cupful oyster liquor, 1 cupful boiling water, 1 cupful oysters, half chopped fine. Butter the size of a walnut. 1 heaping tablespoonful flour, 2 cupfuls milk, 1 yolk of egg beaten. Set the milk on the stove to heat. Boil the chopped oysters 5 minutes in oyster liquor and water. While they're boiling, melt the butter in a saucepan and rub the flour into it. Then pour in the hot milk, stirring briskly. Strain the oyster liquor from the chopped oysters, being careful that the latter are pressed dry. Season, bring to a boil, beat in the yolk of egg and instantly remove from the fire. 208. Oysters, broiled. Drain off the liquor, which may be used for soup. Season and arrange in a wire broiler placed over a bed of coals, browning lightly and quickly on each side. Brush lightly with butter before serving. 209. Oysters creamed. Prepare a thick gravy of cream or sweet milk, together with the liquor from the oysters, thickened with flour and well seasoned to taste. When this boils, drop in the oysters, then remove from the fire instantly and pour over nicely browned toast on a hot platter. 210. Crumbed oysters. Dip each oyster in beaten egg, season with salt and pepper, then roll quickly in fine cracker or breadcrumbs, also seasoned, and fry quickly in a little butter. 211. Oyster fricassee with toast. Fry the oysters in a little butter, adding as soon as they begin to cook a tablespoonful of flour mixed with the same quantity of melted butter. Pour over the whole 2 eggs beaten up with 2 tablespoonfuls of milk, and as soon as this stiffens, gently separate the whole from the pan and lay it over a plate filled with toasted bread. 212. Oysters, fried plain. Drain well and fry in a little butter to delicate brown. Season and serve on toast. 213. Oysters fried in batter. Make a batter of beaten eggs, well seasoned, with the liquor from the oysters added, a tablespoonful of milk to each egg, and thickened with flour in the proportion of 1 tablespoonful to every 3 eggs. Drop the oysters into the batter one by one. Dip them out singly, filling the spoon with batter. Drop them on a hot buttered frying pan and fry a golden brown. 214. Oyster loaf. Into a deep baking dish, put alternate layers of raw oysters and breadcrumbs, seasoning as you go. Pour over the whole the oyster liquor mixed with a little milk and melted butter, and brown 5 minutes in a moderate oven. 215. Oysters roasted. Rinse the shells in clear water and place closed upon hot coals or in a hot oven for 5 minutes. Open carefully with a knife, adding none of the liquor to escape. Butter lightly, season, and serve with toast. 216. Oyster salad. 1 cupful chopped white cabbage. 1 cupful chopped celery. 3 dozen fresh oysters. 1 tablespoonful each of oil and vinegar. Boil the celery and cabbage together in salt water for 8 minutes. Drain thoroughly and mix with the oil and vinegar. When cold, lay the oysters through it and pour over all a nice mayonnaise dressing. Number 164. 217. Oyster soup. Take equal quantities of rich milk and water, proportioning the whole to the quantity of oysters to be cooked. The quantity of liquid should be at least twice the bulk of the oysters. Drain the water from the oysters and add it to the soup. Season to taste with a little butter, pepper, and salt, and add a little finely rolled cracker. When it boils, add the oysters and remove instantly from the fire, as they immediately settle to the bottom and need only to be scalded. 1 minute's boiling will shrivel them and impair their flavor. By observing these directions religiously, a very fair quality of soup can be made from the best brand of cove oysters by housekeepers who live remote from the seacoast or on the Pacific coast, where the native oysters are of inferior quality, and fresh eastern oysters are so high-priced as to be beyond the reach of the populace. 218. Oysters steamed. Steam in the shells for 5 minutes. Open and serve with salt, pepper, and a little butter. 219. Plain oyster stew. Boil the oysters 1 minute in their own liquor. Season with salt, pepper, and a little butter. 220. Dry oyster stew. Boil the oysters in their own liquor 1 minute, season to taste, and drain before serving. 221. Oyster stew with milk. 1½ cupfuls milk. 1 cupful water. Oyster liquor. Butter the size of a walnut. Pepper and salt to taste. ½ cupful cracker crumbs. Bring the liquid to a boil. Add the cracker crumbs and the oysters. Boil 1 minute and take from the stove. 222. Oyster stew, fancy stew with toast. Drain the liquid portion of the foregoing stew into a large tureen. Then lay pieces of hot toast on top and arrange the oysters on top of them. 223. Oysters on toast. Put slices of bread in the oven to dry and brown. Bring the oyster liquor to a boil. Season with salt and pepper. Drop the oysters in and scald for 1 minute. Then pour over the toast. 224. French pancakes. 1 level cupful flour. 2 beaten eggs. ½ cupful milk. Fry on a buttered pan to a nice brown on both sides. Spread with jelly or fruit jam. Form into little rolls and dredge with powdered sugar. 225. Parsley, fried. Dip the parsley 1 minute in boiling lard. Sprinkle with salt and pepper and drain on a cloth. 226. Parsnips, fried. Cold boiled parsnips, sliced and fried to a nice brown in butter or lard. Season with pepper and salt. 227. Parsnip fritters. 2 cupfuls of mashed parsnips. Scant ½ cupful of flour. 2 tablespoonfuls melted butter. 1 egg. Salt and pepper to taste. Stir together and drop by spoonfuls in hot lard or drippings, and fry to a nice brown. 228. Parsnips, roasted. Cold boiled parsnips, sliced, sprinkled with pepper and salt. Lay in a dripping pan in melted drippings and roast for 4 or 5 minutes in a hot oven. 229. Pineapples and oranges. Arrange alternate layers of sliced oranges and pineapple, allowing about 1/3 the quantity of pineapple that you use of oranges. Sprinkle with sugar, and you have the most healthful, palatable, and beautiful dish. Housekeepers will find economy of both time and purse in using the sliced pineapple packed in sugar in airtight cans, now to be procured at the most reasonable price at any first-class grocery. 230. pineapple patties. Make small shells of puff paste, baked in small patty pans. Fill with pineapple cut into small slices, sugared and covered with whipped cream, beaten to a froth with a common egg beater. 231. 10 minutes baked potatoes. Pare and cut into slices 1/2 inch thick. Bake in the same manner as if the skins were on, making sure that the oven is hot when they're put in. 232. Potatoes broiled. Peel potatoes, cut into slices 1/4 inch thick. Dip in melted butter or drippings. Lay in the wire broiler and broil over a nice bed of coals or light low blaze of splintered softwood. Sprinkle with salt and pepper, touch lightly with butter, and serve while still hot. 233. Potato croquettes. Cold mashed potatoes, mixed with 1 spoonful melted butter, 1 beaten egg. Form into round balls with plenty of flour in the hands and fry quickly in the hot lard, using a wire basket, preferably, removing them as soon as they come to a nice golden brown. 234. Dauphine potatoes. Stir into a cold mashed brown potatoes the well-beaten yolks of 2 eggs and brown in the oven 5 minutes. 235. Potatoes a la hollandaise. Peel the potatoes, cut them into small wedges, boil them in salted water. As soon as the fork goes through them easily, drain carefully, set them on the back of the stove with a little butter, and serve with hollandaise sauce, number 279, prepared while the potatoes were boiling. 236. Boiled potatoes browned. Lay cold boiled potatoes in a hot dripping pan and roast in a hot oven for 5 minutes, basting with meat drippings. 237. Potatoes and cream. Fry cold boiled potatoes for 2 minutes in a little butter in a hot covered frying pan. Then stir in a fresh piece of butter and a little rich milk or cream over them. Bring to a boil and serve. 238. Mashed potatoes in form. Take cold mashed potatoes and model into any pretty form using a knife, a spoon, a dish, or the hands. Glaze over lightly with a soft brush, dipped into an egg, beaten together with a spoonful of milk, and brown in a hot oven for 4 minutes. 239. Mashed potato cake. Fry cold mashed potatoes in a frying pan with hot drippings in the bottom. Cover closely that they may be quickly heated through. Let them remain 5 minutes or until a crisp golden brown crust has been formed. Then invert on a large round plate by placing the dish above and quickly reversing the pan, having first run a thin-bladed knife around the sides of the latter. 240. Mashed potato cakes, fried. Cold mashed potatoes formed into small flattened balls, lightly dredged with flour and fried to light brown on both sides. 241. Mashed potatoes in mold. Beat up a couple of eggs in a little milk and mix with cold mashed potatoes by passing them through the vegetable press together. Press into a buttered mold, bake 10 minutes in a hot oven, and turn out upon a flat dish. 242. Cold meat and potatoes. Season cold meat well and place in a shallow baking dish. Cover with a layer of mashed potatoes and spread over the whole 1 egg beaten up with a little milk. Bake 5 minutes in a hot oven. 243. Potatoes and onions. 4 cold boiled potatoes of medium size. 1 large onion, minced. Butter the size of an egg. Pepper and salt. Put the butter in a frying pan at a moderate heat and simmer the minced onions in it for 5 minutes. Cut up the potatoes, season with salt and pepper. Stir in with the onion and butter and brown nicely without burning. 244. Potatoes à la Provençale. 1 quart cold-boiled potatoes, cut into thick pieces. 5 tablespoonfuls olive oil. 1 tablespoonful green onion, cut fine. A little fresh lemon peel, chopped fine. 1/4 cupful butter. 1 tablespoonful flour. Salt, pepper, nutmeg. Mix all the ingredients of the sauce together in a hot saucepan and warm up the potatoes in it. 245. Potato puffs. Mashed potatoes, seasoned and moistened with an egg or 2, whites and yolks beaten separately, and a little milk. Place in a shallow baking dish and bake 4 minutes in a hot oven. 246. Potato salad. Slice cold boiled potatoes. Add chopped onions and a little celery. Pour over it a mayonnaise. Recipe number 164. 247. Saratoga potatoes. Peel and shave into thin slices with a potato cutter. Rinse in cold water and dry with a cloth, then fry to a nice yellow in hot lard. Drip carefully and sprinkle with salt while hot. 248. Broiled quails. Clean, cut down the back, flatten down, season well, dip in melted butter, and broil slowly over a bed of coals. 249. Raspberry cream. 1 quart fresh raspberries. 1 quart boiling milk. 4 heaping tablespoonfuls cornstarch, dissolved with warm water. 1 small cupful sugar. Stir the cornstarch and sugar into the boiling milk until it thickens. Cool a little, and then pour over the raspberries, first sugaring them lightly. Serve cold, with cream or milk. Any fruit may be used in place of the raspberries. Sweet dreams.